The air within the medicine shop seemed to freeze as this sound pierced the quietude, and the eyes of all present widened in shock. Whether they knew the revered Grandmaster Ju Hei-shin or not, the silver emblem pinned to his chest was unmistakable, marking him as a black-grade alchemist. Black-grade! To the common folk, this was a status akin to the highest imperial officials, a rank more noble than the mayor of any city. But here was such a master, the pinnacle of alchemy, displaying visible shock at a single utterance. How could they not be struck dumb? And all this commotion was stirred by a mere young man. How could this be? The onlookers stood on the precipice of disbelief, each trying to piece together the riddle before them, none able to accept this strange twist of fate. Ma Da-jun, whose eyes nearly bulged from their sockets, stood in stunned silence. He knew well who Ju Hei-shin was, an influential figure in the Rain Country's Heaven's Medicine Pavilion. Yet here he was, witnessing a sight that defied all reason. The Grandmaster, a man he couldn't even hope to meet on most days, now stood before him, overwhelmed by the presence of this youth. Could it be that this young man had not come to make trouble, but to present the very truth itself? Ling Han's gaze flickered as he casually sniffed the air, and with a deliberate smile he said, "Quite clever indeed, altering the formula for the wind and fire pill. By substituting the purple back bear pill, 1,000 shred cane and black rock powder for some of the more expensive ingredients, you've made a commendable attempt. With these changes, the effect remains largely unchanged, but the cost is greatly reduced." "How did you know?" The shock in Ju Hei-shin's voice was unmistakable as he turned to face Ling Han, his words coarse with surprise. This was his personal secret, his formula for an improved version of the wind and fire pill, something he had not intended to reveal until the research was complete, a bombshell that would have rocked his peers and rivals alike. But now this young man had not only found the truth, but had done so effortlessly. Ling Han's grin grew, and with a teasing tone, he replied, "Naturally, I used my nose to sniff it out." Ju Xin could not fathom it. This was a secret he had guarded closely, and yet Ling Han, who was no alchemist, had uncovered it using only his senses. How could such a thing be possible? A pill formula was a treasure to an alchemist, as sacred and valuable as martial arts skills were to a warrior. To have this secret laid bare so easily was a blow to Ju Hei-shin's pride. But Ling Han was not done. "Your formula is promising, but Copper Valley sand is too potent. The point at which it merges is too high. Even ground finely, remnants will still linger, which would ruin the pill's quality. Instead, you should use the teeth of a Raging Flames leopard as a replacement." Ju Hei-shin's mind whirred, his calculations instantaneous. The Raging Flames leopard's elemental alignment is fire, which would neutralize the yin energy of the black rock powder. When heated, the leopard's teeth melt easily, leaving no remnants. "Truly remarkable! Why did I not think of this sooner?" His amazement was palpable, and his voice softened with admiration. "Young friend, please come upstairs and allow me to show my appreciation." Though his invitation was couched in politeness, his true intention was clear. He hoped to coax more secrets from this young man, whose knowledge seemed boundless. Ling Han's smile did not falter, though he declined. "I can't." Ju Hei-shin's brow furrowed. "Why not?" Ling Han's voice held a deliberate edge as he glanced at Ma Da-jun. "Someone told me to leave." "Putong!" Ma Da-jun's knees gave way and he fell to the floor, his face pale. How could he have known? Had he known that Ju Hei-shin would treat Ling Han so, he would have treated him with far more respect. Now his arrogance had trapped him. His heart ached as he realized his blunder. The others in the shop watched the scene unfold, and a silent judgment passed among them. Had Ma Da-jun been a little more respectful, perhaps things would have turned out differently. Now, his fate was sealed by his own hand. Ju Hei-shin's eyes, usually calm, blazed with fury. How could he not be enraged? His entire life had been devoted to advancing in the alchemical arts and acquiring rare formulas, only to have this walking encyclopedia of knowledge scoffed at and dismissed by the likes of Ma Da-jun. How dare he! "Fool!" Ju Hei-shin bellowed, his voice thundering through the shop. "What is the meaning of this? Speak!" Ma Da-jun could only stammer out the events, recounting the earlier insults, though he carefully omitted the cruel words he had spoken to Ling Han. Even he wasn't foolish enough to repeat those. "Such arrogance!" Ju Heixin's hand flew out, striking Ma Dajun with a resounding slap. Ma Dajun spun thrice, his senses spinning from the force of the blow. The old man's fury showed no sign of abating as he glared at Ma Dajun, who could only apologize profusely, his face flushed with shame. Ju Heixin's gaze softened when it returned to Ling Han. "I apologize deeply, young friend." Then, as if struck by a sudden revelation, he froze. A memory surfaced, something his master had once spoken of before his passing, a formula used to heal injuries to the spirit base requiring 5 specific medicinal plants. Could it be that Ling Han was purchasing these ingredients for this very remedy? His heart began to race as he recalled the names of the plants. Violet lotus grass, blue branch fruit, 100-year vermilion bamboo, red leaf potato, and the elusive, rotted-leafed dried tree roots. His master had lamented the loss of the full formula, and here it was, right before him. "Are you seeking to concoct the element heart recover spirit powder?" Ju Xin's voice trembled with excitement. Ling Han nodded without hesitation. "Yes, my spirit base has suffered some damage." "Pooh!" Ma Dajun nearly choked on his own disbelief. The idea of healing a damaged spirit base was a near impossibility, and yet here was Ling Han, so nonchalant as if he spoke of a mere trifle. Liu Yutong's eyes widened with understanding. The princess of the Liu clan knew well that even the most valuable alchemical remedies, like the permanent moon pill, could heal spirit base injuries, but their price was beyond comprehension. Yet here Ling Han was, speaking of healing it so casually. What was his true identity? The curiosity in her heart only deepened as she watched Ling Han, unsure of whether to step forward as a follower or to keep her distance, unsure of the secrets he harboured. The air was thick with cordiality as Ju Heixin extended his invitation. "Young friend, please take a seat." His tone was warm, carrying the politeness expected of a black-grade alchemist, though devoid of any arrogance. "I assure you, within 3 days, no, within 5, I will procure the medicinal ingredients you require." Ling Han nodded in approval. Once a man of unrivaled power, now stripped of his strength, he found it wise to build new connections. Befriending individuals such as Ju Heixin would be beneficial, even if his own pride told him not to lower himself to the level of lesser individuals like Ma Dajun. Delighted, Ju Heixin led Ling Han and Liu Yutong to a refined study on the 3rd floor. The elderly alchemist, eager to learn more about the young man's expertise, asked, "If I may, who is your master?" Ling Han's gaze was steady as he responded, "I have no master. I am self-taught." In his past life, Ling Han had explored the deepest corners of the alchemical world, learning from the greatest minds and eventually establishing his own sect, becoming the most renowned alchemist in history. Ju Heixin's skepticism was evident. How could one so young claim such profound knowledge? Yet, as the conversation unfolded, Ling Han's mastery became evident. Ju Heixin's admiration grew, and he sought to enroll Ling Han in Heaven's Medicine Pavilion, subtly testing his alchemical skill with probing questions. Ling Han answered them all effortlessly, his answers full of the wisdom of a grandmaster alchemist, whether in this life or the last. The conversation slowly shifted, and the old man found himself struggling to keep up, his respect for Ling Han growing with each passing moment. In the world of knowledge, seniority was meaningless. The one with the greatest understanding reigned supreme. At first, Ju Heixin addressed Ling Han as young friend, his tone bearing the weight of seniority. But as their exchange continued, he shifted to fellow alchemist, his posture more humble, even bowing with cold sweat on his brow. By the end of their discussion, he stood beside Ling Han, listening with the reverence of an apprentice before his esteemed master. Ling Han could feel the weight of his position rise, his thoughts confirming that in terms of insight, he had long surpassed even the man's own teacher. Ju Heixin, recognizing this, humbly asked, "Grandmaster, may I follow you and continue to learn from your teachings?" Liu Yutong nearly gasped, but upon reflection the situation seemed almost natural. After all, Ju Heixin was a black-grade alchemist, though a low-ranking one, still far above the average. To have such a figure beg to follow Ling Han was an honour few could comprehend. Ling Han smiled and shook his head. "I have no intention of taking on disciples at this moment," he replied. In truth, he saw Ju Xin's talent as nothing special, just another average alchemist. In the past, he had taught 3 disciples, all of whom were exceptional. Ju Haixin, feeling a sense of loss, understood that Ling Han refused not because of pride, but because his own talents were inadequate to warrant the honor of becoming his disciple. He accepted this, believing it to be the natural order. Liu Yutong was stunned by Ling Han's refusal. He had turned down an offer from an actual black-grade alchemist, a man with the potential to secure status and power through his connections. But Ling Han had dismissed it with a wave of his hand. "You may still come to me for guidance whenever you require assistance," Ling Han said, offering Ju Haixin a gracious alternative. "Many thanks, Grandmaster." Ju Haixin clasped his hands and bowed deeply, overwhelmed by Ling Han's generosity. Liu Yutong could hardly fathom the sight. Here was a man who could command the respect of the royal family, yet he was humbled before Ling Han, like a lowly disciple. "Very well, I shall take my leave now," Ling Han said. "I will see you off, Grandmaster," Ju Haixin quickly insisted, showing the utmost deference. Turning to Liu Yutong, Ling Han casually asked, "Did you bring any money? Please help me pay for the medicine in advance." Liu Yutong twitched in annoyance. Ling Han had clearly intended the medicine for himself, not for her illness. She couldn't help but marvel at his cunning, using her as a convenient tool. No need, Ju Haixin interjected hastily. "The knowledge I gained from you today is priceless. I cannot accept any payment." He quickly waved his hands, unwilling to burden Ling Han with such a transaction. Ling Han considered the matter for a moment before agreeing. "Then do as you wish." The teachings he had imparted were valuable, more so than Ju Haixin could ever repay. One day, these lessons would fuel the old alchemist's understanding for the rest of his life. "Then I shall take some return origin pills," Ling Han said after a brief pause. Ju Haixin was quick to refuse. "A mere trinket, Grandmaster. Allow me to offer these as a gift," he insisted, eager to please Ling Han. Liu Yutong remained silent, though she knew that even the lowest grade of return origin pills was worth a small fortune. Ju Haixin's generosity bordered on madness as he handed over 100 pills without hesitation. As Ling Han and Liu Yutong made their way down, Ju Haixin saw them off, his face full of joy. "Where to now?" Liu Yutong asked after a while. "Home," Ling Han replied with a smile. "I'm waiting for the medicine to be delivered. Until then, I cannot begin my cultivation." Liu Yutong, ever curious, probed further. "You truly know how to concoct pills?" "There is no one in this world who knows it better than me," Ling Han replied bluntly. "You're bragging!" Liu Yutong snorted. Despite Ju Haixin's admiration, Ling Han had only humbled a low-ranking black-grade alchemist. There were still earth- and heaven-grade alchemists who far surpassed him. Ling Han did not respond to her teasing, his mind already occupied with greater matters. "Why didn't you agree to take Ju Haixin as a follower? He's not only an alchemist, but also a warrior of the gushing spring tier," Liu Yutong asked, perplexed. Ling Han stopped walking, his gaze softening as he turned to her. "Your spirit base is heaven grade, and you've reached the 8th level of element gathering. You are one step away from gushing spring. I don't need any alchemist to concoct pills for me, and if I needed someone, a beautiful girl is far more pleasing to the eyes than an old man." Liu Yutong blushed, unable to suppress a smile. His words were blunt, but his honesty charmed her. "We'll return home first," Ling Han said. "I still have to teach you the 3 yin mysterious arts." Liu Yutong's heart leaped. The illness that had haunted her for years might finally be quelled through these teachings. They returned to the Ling clan residence, where the servants greeted them with curious glances. Word of the morning's events had spread quickly, and the sight of Ling Han trampling Ma Da-jun underfoot had surely made an impression. Ling Han ignored the whispers and led Liu Yutong to his room. There they began the long-awaited lesson in the 3 yin mysterious arts. "Aren't you afraid I might go back on my word?" Liu Yutong asked suddenly. "Will you?" Ling Han asked in return, his tone light but confident as he prepared to teach her once more.